let's talk a little Canadian men's national team quickly here, gentlemen. Because the transfer window, it's now closed, and we know that Jonathan David is remaining with little Tajon Buchanan. It was with Club Brugge. Neither of them have moved. What are your thoughts, Ollie, on them staying? Do you think it's good for them? Are you kind of a little disappointed? Because there were so many rumors that Tajon Buchanan could have made the leap to Serie A, that maybe he was going to go play in the Italian league. Obviously, with Jonathan David, there were all kinds of rumors between Premier League and La Liga. Just how are you feeling right now knowing they're not moving?
Buchanan, I'm fine with. I think he's still got something to prove in the Belgian league. He's been playing right back in a back four this season, which is an interesting development, and has scored a couple of goals despite playing in seemingly a more defensive position. So I'm fine with that one. David, I think we were all hoping to see take that next step, but I think it's been pretty clear that, he wants to go to an elite club. He's not going to do it, just to move anywhere. And those deals are hard to find. They're complicated. I think particularly for a player like Jonathan David, he's quite a unique profile of striker. He's not like a Haaland's type that big physical number 9 that you just plug and play in any team. So I'm not devastated with either one. I think David's still playing at a really good level, and wait for the right move, I think, is the right thing to do.
All right.
I like it, Ollie.
How are you feeling there?
I like it.
How you feeling, guys?
Yeah.
Jordan?
I don't think it's a bad thing for Jonathan David to stay. He's at the ripe age of 23. I think only in North America or Canada we get caught up in ages, like, 23 is old. 23, the sky's the limit for Jonathan David. He can make a move in a year, 2, 3 years. As long as he stays healthy, looks after himself, and does the most coveted thing for a striker, banging goals. As long as he does that, the move will be there for him. Tajon Buchanan, he's had a meteoric. It's been fast, like 3 years. If you think about where he was playing to where he is now, it's been fast. Sometimes it's just about being consistent. You can make a move in 6 months. This football thing, everything moves so fast. So staying with a club, he just moved to Club Brugge. Everyone's moving him on, but like he could stay there a little bit longer, get acclimated at the right back position. We know he can play at the wing position, and then he can obviously play wing back as well. Stay there, keep killing it. You'll make a move.
Just really quickly, guys. I just hope that someone is checking on our dude JJD TV, because this guy, man, he was the hype man. He was looking at accounts like __ .ilovesoccer.net, and he's like, this guy's saying he's going here. The guy works so hard to try to get Jonathan David a transfer. And
he works hard to keep us updated, Wheels.
Someone needs to check on that dude, man. I
know
hope he's okay. I hope
he
he's
worked.
all right.
It was, yeah. And I'm, and I'm sure a lot of these things they are up in the air. They're swirling, and then just something happens where the deal doesn't close. So there you go. They're going to stay put.
Love
all right, guys.
JJD TV.
He's fine. He's okay. Let's turn our attention to the Canadian Premier League, gentlemen. Week 21 is in the books. Let's take a look at the standings, as there's just like constant movement here about who's going to be in the playoffs. Right now, York United will get into their huge results over the weekend that has now put them into that 5th spot. That's the spot there that'll kind of get you into a position to at least move on. And Cavalry topping things off with a huge win. Why was it huge? Well, because they got their first ever win in Ottawa with a 97th minute goal by William Akio, with the history of dominance, guys, by Atletico against Cavalry, and the way this game played out. Would you consider, Jordan, Atletico Cavalry the most compelling rivalry in the CPL? Do you think it is now trumping Cavalry Forge?
Well, Trills, we need to stop hanging out, because that's literally where I was going to go with that. Cavalry and Forge is still bad blood. Yeah. I will just say that this season, there hasn't been that thrilling game. Cavalry have just come out to play and just have been ahead of Forge this season. So I will not say that it trumps them, but I will say that this Atletico Ottawa and Cavalry match, Atletico Ottawa know how to frustrate Cavalry. Even on a day where Cavalry play well at home, you see Camargo gets that early goal, or sorry, the first goal in the end of the first half. They're playing well. And then you see here, dying minutes. What a finish. Ooh. We'll get into that by Luke Singh as well. I believe Luke Singh is left-footed. And for him to get a volley like this, but anyways, I digress. For them to get this late win, it's just like this boring, mundane, whatever people want to say about Atletico Ottawa, seemed to get the better of Calvary for them to finally beat them. You see how elated the backflips, everyone running, the little scuffle at the end. There's just passion in this because Atletico Ottawa, in many respects, are Calvary's kryptonite. For them to get a win, for them to be atop of the table, this is just the icing on the cake that they needed.
Tommy.
We love the spice. We absolutely love it. But he's doing that, Tommy. In my opinion, Tommy Wheeldon is doing that because he knows obviously he's getting the 3 points, but everything is written up that he gets a draw. They play well, they dominate a good portion of the game, and they're tied at that point. For him to just be like, this is like, come on, give me that noise. Like, take it in. We still beat you guys, even though it looked as if we were gonna fall short on the day and lose 2 points. But I love the spice, and this playoff race is something special.
Tommy's cheeky. You always look forward to the post-game press conference because he's always going to say something cheeky with a little bit of a bite. Now, obviously on the pitch as well with a little bit of the antics there. How'd you like that, Wheels? And what do you make of this? I mean, would you call it a rivalry?
I would. I don't think it's the best one because it's been completely one-sided. Ottawa would play against Cavalry every time and find a way to get the best of them. But, that's a little bit of a release from Tommy Wheeldon Jr. there because he's sick and tired of hearing you can't beat Atletico Ottawa. I think that's directed to the crowd that was probably on his back about that. Probably people like us, the entire Canadian Premier League saying, why can't you beat Ottawa? And they do it in the most dramatic way possible. So this is brewing into something special. I think entering the playoffs this time around, if Cavalry ends up playing Atletico Ottawa at some point, there's recent history there that'll make that game that much better. And that's kind of what you hope for right now because they're done with one another for the regular season. But I mean, Cavalry Forge is a good one. Forge did something with Pacific for a while. These things have come in ebbs and flows in the Canadian Premier League. And this is kind of the most recent installment. We'll get back into Luke Skywalker because that's what his name is right now. It's no longer Singh. It's Luke Skywalker. We'll get into that. But a great game all around. And you're right, Jordan. I mean, this Canadian Premier League season just continues to get better and better.
Well, we'll find out on the rivalry side of it because we get Forged Cavalry next, which is going to be an absolutely massive game this weekend. So we can directly compare the two. I think certainly they're two matches right now that are very much in the running for the tastiest rivalry in this league. And I think Ottawa dominating Cavalry to this point has kind of added to that. You could see what it meant to Cavalry to get that win. And for me, I'm not really that interested in the playoffs right now. I'm interested in this regular season title race. And that for me felt like one of the biggest wins in Cavalry's history, because this is a team that, has consistently, when it's come to that business end of the season, which has been the playoffs because of the league structure to this point, they've consistently fallen short. And that felt like a playoff game on the weekends. And they came through it, right? Even with, even going down or losing 2 points potentially to a pretty much a miracle goal from Luke Singh in the last few minutes of the game, they still found a way to respond. And I thought they deserved to win that game. And there were great performances all over the park for them. Akio's been a massive difference maker, maybe the biggest difference maker in the league over the past few weeks. Tommy Wheeldon Jr. got it right in a big game. The back three of Cobbs, Klomp, and Montgomery is really coming together since Montgomery's come back from injury. I thought Charlie Trafford had a big game in midfield. Like, Cavalry needed that. They needed some proof that this team is different, is built differently to previous years. They can get those results when it matters in the big games. And that was a huge one. It's a massive step for them towards a trophy, towards a Champions Cup spot next season. They've still got some big matches to come, but I think, belief is just going to be running through that team right now as a result of that win.
I said it on the show last week, guys, give Cavalry the regular season crown. If they went to Ottawa and won that game, it's over. Cavalry are going to win the regular season.
You got to play to the end,
over.
baby.
It's over. That was it.
They lose to Forge. They're
Winning
1
the
point
regular
season.
behind.
That's it?
Winning the regular season. Winning the regular season. It's done.
It's not done.
It's done. It's done.
Total nonsense. It's
done.
over?
Wheels, it's done with 6 games left? It's over. You're doing Vince Carter, it's over?
My oven's going up. It's done. It's cooked. It's baked.
Oh my God.
Dig in.
We'll be back after 6 games.
Yo, that delivery though, 10 out of 10. I
days.
will say that. I really thought your oven was on. I was like, oh, what's happening? You sold me, buddy.
Okay, how about this though? Are you willing to cement Luke Singh as best goal of the year? Wheels?
Yes.
Ollie is. Okay. Jordan?
Luke Skywalker.
What is this?
Look,
I'm gonna say no, but
Boink.
let's enjoy this one.
Oh, come
let's
on.
enjoy this.
I won't even speak because that is a finish.
Why
Like to jump off
Skywalker?
that-
Because he's like walking in the sky. What do you? I don't
Yes!
understand some of your.
Yes!
Okay.
In midair.
Luke, I am your father.
That is so difficult.
Skywalker. Whoa, Skywalker.
Difficulty of execution. That is the best goal of the season by far. Like that is so hard.
It's
Midair.
over. Just give it to him.
That one's over. That one's over.
That one is most definitely over.
What about the Sumaro goal? That
Yeah,
was also
Samara
a match
for me is
winner.
still.
Great
Samara's
goal,
is
but
winning.
Goal is
you
just
see a few of those.
The thing with this, we got to fact check, but I believe Luke's saying, guys, help me out. I think he's left-footed as well.
I think he's pretty good with both. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's like predominantly left-footed. The fact that he's doing that with his weaker foot, again, I don't want to be quoted, but I'm pretty sure he's been making some sweet passes with his left foot. I think he's left-footed as well.
At the end
that
of
is
the
a
year, we
some
have to
finish.
do a great compilation of all the goals just to remind ourselves. I have the
love a
memory
video.
of a pine cone and remind all our viewers of these goals. And then I say we let the fans vote.
Yeah, I
the
think
fans
Brems is still ahead of his,
Yes.
though. I do.
All right, we'll take a look at that.
That's a 35 grand strike.
Skywalker. New nickname. Congrats. Only problem was they didn't win the game. They didn't draw the game.
I
How do
know.
you concede a goal after scoring a goal like that?
That's a tough one
Disappointing.
for them to
Nice
bitter
job,
pill to
Luke.
swallow. You know what? Same thing for Halifax because they dropped a crucial one against York United. So 2-1 for York. In their last 5 games, York has now 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. They're holding on to that 5th spot, barely, right? So 32 points. Halifax also has 32 points. Halifax has a game in hand. So Ollie, I mean, what does York have to do to secure this playoff berth?
Well, that was a huge step in the right direction. Like I think they had to win the Vancouver game last weekend. I still think they have to beat Valor at home next weekend as well. This one, to me, okay, you don't want to lose the game because obviously you're losing ground on Halifax, who could be the team that you're targeting to take a playoff spot off of. But to actually go to the Wanderers grounds and win, and to come from behind as an away team, which is the first time that's happened this season, which is pretty crazy as well. Enormous result for York United, and it feels like listening to what Kevin Dos Santos said after the game, Martin Nash said before the game. You know, you've always had kind of questions about York. I think a lot of people have seen them as the 6th team out of 6 here. Even Wheels, who's high on them, didn't even bother putting them on his graphic.
Oh, I remember that
Oh,
day.
love
I
it,
remember
love it,
that
Ollie.
day.
Only one.
Love it,
I'm
Ollie.
the only one who backs
Snub
York.
them.
Fine.
We all
That's
said
not
they were
fine.
6.
That's a
Wheels.
lie.
Everyone
That
said
is
they
a
were
lie.
6.
Didn't even have him on the
Lie.
graphic. Yeah, it was
Lie.
pretty shameful
Graphic
stuff from Wheels,
mistake.
really.
Our
but
producer already cleared that up. It was a graphic error.
yeah, okay.
Continue,
An
Ollie.
email, I can
Continue.
show you
Continue.
Throw your colleagues under the bus. But there's always been something with
They
this
threw
York team.
themselves under the bus.
There's always been
Anyways.
something with this York team, right? Whether it's injuries, whether it's U21 minutes, off-field stuff, that there's always a reason that you can kind of put them as that 6th team, as Wheels did. But it seems like that has finally kind of got to them in that they're starting to make some comments like, no one wants us to make the playoffs. There's a bit of an us against the world mentality is starting to feel with York United right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that can be something that really unifies them and gets them on a run here. They've got 4 home games in a row now, so they've got a chance to put something together in terms of a sequence of results. And yeah, big step in the right direction for them. The kind of result that they haven't always got in past years. Showed a lot of character to come out and get it.
Doesn't Osaze rejoin the team shortly? Like
He was
in a
back,
couple
yeah.
days?
He was
came
back.
off
He was
Yeah.
back.
He came off the bench. That's right. Okay. So
Yes.
he joined them. That's right. I remember seeing that. So what do you think they got to do here, Jordo, as I come to a former York player?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Talking to them, a few players as well. They relish playing away from home. They relish the crowds. 5,000 in a stadium. No one wants you to win. Ricci shushing, Kevin Dos Santos shushing after the 1-1. They love that, but it's not the same vibe at home. Now to play 4 games at home, usually for York, even when I played, just start a bit slow, start a bit relaxed. You could see that it's a home game. Trills, we talked about this briefly, is that when you're on the road, there's just things lined up for you. You know when you're going to eat, team walk, get to the stadium, everyone's there, the fans are shushing you. That kind of just gets you going for the game. Now they have 4 in a row at home, and then the last match will be against Vancouver on the road. They need to find a way to be a villain at home. They need to find a way, even if it's make up stories, but to find a way to come out guns blazing. Because if they don't, they're going to fall short. They need to, in my opinion, win 2, 3 more. I'd say 3 to really solidify that spot. But if they can find a way at home to just rally together and come out guns blazing, they could do it for sure.
Keep on using that fuel for fire, York United, because I am the only one that's backed you.
Wheels.
I'm the only one that's called you a
Wheels,
contender. And you're
come
like,
on.
whoa, every year, this
six
Wheeler
out.
guy
It's a
says
contender.
that York
Out
United
of 6 out of 8 teams, Wheels.
Right. You had your turn.
6 out of
You
8.
had your turn. My turn here. Every year it's like, oh, Wheeler doesn't like us. What do you? Because you weren't good enough. This year you are good enough. Your manager's brave. You play all out attack. Dos Santos is playing out of his skin right now. He's unbelievably good. Mortakuda is solid at the back. Parents G's out of break. This team is legit. And guys, I'm the only one that's respected you all season long. You got the chop and under 21 minutes. Are they going to get there? What about this? I get it. I get what you're going through. Use that hate to fuel you moving forward.
Oh, Wheels.
Do you think they're going to use
Come
that
off it,
speech
mate.
before their next game? Do you think they're going to
They don't
gonna
need
play
it.
it.
They don't,
They're gonna
they
clip
don't
it.
need me. They know the truth. They know the truth.
You know what? They're not even gonna use the clip, Andy. They're gonna just fly in, Wheels straight to York.
Just
York
fly
Lions
him in?
Stadium.
Like Chris
Have him
Hadfield
rally him
standing
up.
next to Herdman
Oh,
singing
for
the
sure.
anthem. They're flying you
I'll
in,
take a
baby.
Send the bill in the mail.
But you know what, though? All joking aside, when a mentality switch like that happens with a team where they do feel like truly feel like the underdog and truly feel like people are against them, that's an intangible that you can't quite put your finger on and you can't quite stop it. Now, unfortunately, math may not be on their side. Like I said, they've played 23 games. Halifax, who's chasing them, has played 22. But if they could take advantage of everything they're doing here and kind of line things up and control what they can control, watch out. Watch out. I think
I hope people
Jordan-
don't support them.
Jordan, I love you. I'm sorry for shushing you, but like I had to back your voice. Someone has
Look,
to. It's me.
I hope
Wheels.
I hope
He
real
didn't hear
supporters,
you.
unlike Wheels,
got their
actually
back.
get in the stadium and support this team. It's easy to get to. It's on a subway stop. There's millions of people in the city. Go and back them. They got some big games coming up.
Yes, they
Yes,
do.
Toronto
Yes, they
Transit
do.
makes it easy.
Guys, I feel like Forge, even though they went winless in their last 4, you always just feel like they're lurking in the weeds and then they're ready to pounce. And that ended up being the case on the weekend. Wubens Pacius, 4 goals in his first 22 games, ends up exploding for a hat trick on Sunday against Vancouver. So it's a nice 3-0 win for Forge. That ends their 4-game winless streak. Could Forge be doing what Forge does here, Wheels? They find their game at the most important time of the season and end up going on like be finalists once again, or perhaps even hoist the North Star Shield.
Yes, this is what they do. And woo, woo, he's come to life. He knew that I picked him in the fantasy draft. He knows that I backed him and I believe in his talent and ability. And they're going to come together at the right time. The problem is, I think it might be a little bit too late for the regular season. I mean, there was a trophy if they could have got out of second or third gear, which they couldn't do. But this team, when it comes to rounding into form and playing those very intense playoff matches, they're a team you simply can't bet against. So look, there's been some change, but they still have so many familiar faces that have been in those battles before. I think you'd be a fool not to back them.
How you feeling, Jordan?
Yeah, I have to bring up Adam Jenkins, my dear friend, and talking about tiers, and putting Forge as a tier 2 team. I don't know how you could. Okay, let's just put things into perspective quickly.
Oh, I thought you were going to shout him out, like give him props.
No.
You're like,
No.
We don't do that here, Andy.
him.
No, and I love all you guys, right? You guys are family. But when you say something crazy at the dinner table, you gotta look. You can't be like, oh, that's okay. Nah, family, you call it out. He called him tier 2. Tier 2. Now look,
Crazy.
Matthias, I'll do this quickly. 4 goals in 22 minutes. Then he got a hat trick. Now he's at 7. To have your second best goal scorer for your team and a bad year, or not the most efficient year, and he has 7 goals. This is not a team you can count out, right? I don't think they're going to win the league, but I don't even think they need to. They just need to find that second, third spot, even 4th, right? Just get into the playoffs, then they'll take care of business as it comes. So for me, you can't count out this Forward side. They always have a trick up their sleeve. They always have a player. Look, Jay Hams is a player that hasn't really produced this season, and he can come back and maybe be in a lineup when you need him towards the end of the season with a Campbell, with a Pacius, guns blazing, and a Becker who looks like he's 23. So I can't count out this forward side. No chance.
Yeah, I mean, if Pacius gets going, then it's massive for Forge. It's going to be a huge difference maker. Like goals paper over a lot of cracks, and he can when he's really going, he can score a lot of them. I didn't think like this game hasn't really like made me think Forge are back. It felt like a bit of a stroll in the park, to be honest with you. Vancouver gave away just some really straightforward goals that you can't give away at this level. Credit to Forge for capitalizing and getting a straightforward win, and that's all they had to do. But this for me felt like a bit of a warm up for next weekend, and that's where we're really going to see is this Forge team, ready to kind of get out of second gear and go and win a couple of trophies, or at least one trophy here, and get that Champions Cup spot they want. Or is it a team that, like Adam seems to think, has maybe fallen off a little bit compared to last season? So next weekend for me, a much bigger judge of where this Forge team is at, and it's a blow to lose Kwesi Poku, who was great against Vancouver, but got that late red card and will now have a suspension.
Here's the Golden Boot race, gentlemen. So Ollie Bassett and Taryn Campbell, they're both tied on 10 goals. Then you have Meyer Bevan at 9. And then with that performance, Rubens Pacius is right behind them with 7. The next guy, we're going to talk about him, is Eamon Salouf. So he's sitting on 6 goals. He leads the league in assists with 7. Calling him the super sub for Pacific. He comes on in the 55th minute, scores the winner in the 85th. So that was his 14th goal contribution of the season, his 8th off the bench. Is that the best way to use him, Ollie? The super sub?
No, he's got to start their biggest games, and I think he will. Look, if you keep bringing a really good player off the bench, as Pacific has done for a number of weeks now, then he's going to play well, and you can call him a super sub if you want, right? But I don't think there's any reason to believe he can't do it as a starter either. Like, he leads the league in goals and assists combined this season, or is tied for the league leads. A number of them have come as a substitute, but again, that's because I think he's played a lot as a substitute. In his 11 starts, he has 6 goals and assists. Like, there's only one player on Pacific, Manny Aparicio, who has more goals and assists like in the entire season than that, right? And that's just the games he started. So that's still a really good number that puts him in comparison with some really good players. Again, looking at their whole body of work and not just the 11 starts that he's had. I think he's one of, if not their best player. I think he needs to be in the 11 for their biggest games. He's their best option on that left wing, and I think he will be when it really comes down to it in the big matches to come here for Pacific.
Wheels?
Salouf is on fire. I love this cat, but you guys, what you know about me, I think you know this about me. I'm a diehard Manchester United supporter.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a couple great super subs back in the days when we were winning trebles. Sheringham, Ollie. These players could start for almost any other team in the league, but they were better coming off the bench behind Cole and York. And sometimes they were better than Cole and York, but their role specifically, they were able to take advantage of teams when they got a little bit leggy, when the team decided to change its tactics, push on a little bit. I think that's what James Merriman is battling with right now. Like, there's some good players across that front line. And I think he's still trying to figure out what's the right mix. Hurd, Reed produces whenever I see him play. Ungaro has to get it going. Daniels, like, there's no shortage of options. So if it means that Salouf is more efficient, can provide you more coming off the bench, then I guess so be it. I trust a very good young manager here in what he's seeing or not seeing. And just because he's a sub doesn't mean that it's a knock on the player that he is.
I think as much as I want to agree with Ollie, I can't. We talked about family dinners. I think Salouf, the couple times that he started, wasn't as impactful. A lot of people think football is broken up into halves. I don't. I think it's thirds. 30, 60, obviously then you end the 90th. Having him come on in the last third of the match, Eamon Salouf, he's free. The game's opened up. Either one team is pressing, he has space to just isolate a player. That's not the same deal in the first 30 minutes. Players are usually tight to you. You're fresh. For me as a player, I'm kicking people the first 30 minutes. I feel confident. I'm like, I'm going to get stuck into tackles. The 60th minute, right when Eamon Salouf comes to life or is on the pitch, that's when people are tired, exposed. It's a bit of end-to-end football. That is what he likes. The few matches I've seen him and he has to start, he tends to play backwards. He wasn't as direct going forward. So he is that secret super sub. Now, can James Merriman use him in the beginning of matches or to start him? For sure. Will he be as productive? Time will tell. But I do like having a Josh Hurd or Adonijah Reed or Angar, whoever it might be, starting matches, and then you just have that ace card just ready to come off the bench and tear things up like he's been doing. So that could be the bread and butter for them going forward.
All right. A lot of fun. Canadian Premier League. We are the home, One Soccer, of the CPL as they start nearing the end of the season and we head into the playoffs. The race continues.